This is Module 11 entitled Switch Security Configuration. In this module, we'll implement port security to mitigate MAC address table attacks. We'll explain how DTP and native VLAN to mitigate VLAN attacks. We'll explain how to configure DHCP snooping to mitigate DHCP attacks. We'll configure ARP inspection to mitigate ARP attacks and configure port fast and BPTU guard to mitigate the STP attacks. Implementing port security. So layer 2 attacks are some of the easiest for hackers to deploy, but these threats can also be mitigated with some common layer 2 solutions. One of which is that it's very important if ports are not used, it's better to disable it. Okay, by default in Cisco switches they are into a no shutdown command. So it's like in the no shutdown command is enabled. So better if the port is not being used, better to shut it down. So you may use the range, no? So in a way you don't go to each of the interfaces. You may type interface range, say FA0/1-4. Okay, so example, if you want to shut down 1, 2, 3 ports 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you type shutdown. To mitigate MAC address table attack, we implement port security. In port security, we limit the number of valid MAC addresses allowed on the port. It allows an administrator to manually configure MAC addresses for a port or to permit the switch to dynamically learn a limited number of MAC addresses. When a port configured with port security receives a frame, the source MAC address of the frame is compared to the list of secure source MAC address that were manually configured or dynamically learned on the port. And to limit the number of permitted MAC addresses on a port to 1, port security can be used to control and authorize access to the network. So to set up port security, for example, you want to bind again a MAC address to this port. In a way, let's say if there's an attacker who will connect to this port, then there will be violations. You set up violations. So again, in the port security, we secure this port in a way the legitimate end devices are the only ones that can connect on this port. How port security is. To implement port security, we type switch port-security. Again, if this port only belongs in one VLAN, so we need to declare this switch port mode access. So again, the syntax for enabling port security is switch port-security. Okay. So after this, you may limit the maximum number of MAC address. You also set violations. Okay. To set the maximum number of MAC addresses that can only be connected to that port, to a specific port, we use this command, switch port-security maximum, and then the number of MAC addresses that can only be connected. The default value is 1. So let's say if you want to have only two MAC addresses that can connect on this port, or are binded in this port, then you set 2. That's how it is. If you want to manually configure the MAC address to only be associated with that port, you may do this, switch port-security MAC address and then the MAC address. And if you want it to be dynamically learned, so you type switch port-security MAC-address and then sticky. Dynamically learned are the ones learned by the switch when it builds the MAC address table. So this is the complete configuration of the port security. So again, we type switch port-security. We set the maximum number of MAC addresses. Okay, and then we type switch port-security MAC address sticky. This one will automatically appear after you type this switch port-security MAC address sticky. And the last in the syntax are the violations. So there are 3 options in the violation: shutdown, restrict, and protect. So let's say the moment that there's a violation in the port security, for example, there is another end device, or let's say an attacker that connects on that port, and when it sends packet, then what the switch will do is automatically shut down the port. Okay, there's a restrict option. In the restrict is that the switch will just reject the frame. Okay, the port will not be shut down, but the attacker, for example, the unauthorized one, will not be able to send the frame. So what the switch will do is to just drop the what is being sent by the attacker. Protect is the same thing. Okay. The difference is that in the restrict, there's a notification. In the protect, there's no syslog message. So here's an example. To verify port security, we type show port dash security. So we'd be able to see those ports that were port security are implemented and their violation um, settings. You may also type show port dash security interface and then the interface for us to see the port security details. And then you want to check also those bind MAC address to a port. So we may type show port dash security and then the address. And this ends this part, first part of Module 11. I'd like to thank you for listening. Keep safe. Together we learn as one.